Can you make a video on Galatians 1:6-9 and 1 Corinthians 15:1-4? Well, that's very specific, so let's read them and sure. I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting him who called you in the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel. Not that there is another one, but there are some who trouble you and want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to the one we preach to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone is preaching to you a gospel contrary to the one you received, let him be accursed. Okay, now this passage is very specifically saying that if anyone preaches anything other than what Paul has taught them, that it's a false gospel. Even if an angel appears to them and says, hey, I've got more gospel for you, or a different gospel, it's not correct. This is why Mormons try so very hard to make the Bible fit what they teach, because if they admit that there are parts that contradict, then they fall under this, and they very soundly do. Now on to 1 Corinthians. Now I would remind you, brothers, of the gospel I preached to you, which you received, in which you stand, and by which you are being saved, if you hold fast to the word I preached to you, unless you believed in vain. For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, that Christ died for our sins in accordance with Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day in accordance with the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas and then to the 12, and then appeared to more than 500 brothers at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have fallen asleep. Okay, and then he goes on to talk about appearing to others and eventually to himself. What Paul is trying to help us understand is that the resurrection of Christ, his death and burial and resurrection, is at the very heart of the gospel. And if there's any gospel out there that teaches anything other than that being the soul, heart, and backbone and foundation of the gospel, it's not the real gospel.